Due to some YouTube issues, if you want to receive notifications when I upload new videos, I strongly recommend you to hit this bell and check this box. That way you will most likely receive notifications on my new uploads. Also, please be aware of your surroundings or the people around you and be respectful. That way you will not be responsible by driving the wrong attention to our community. Here is the box where the Eleaf Melo 300 comes in. You get a QR code, the serial number and the scratch code to check for authenticity, and it is available in black and silver. On the back you only get the kit contents, the company information and a couple of certifications. Inside of the box you get the Eleaf Melo 300. You also get a spare sextuple coil 0.17 ohm coil rated between 100 and 300 watts. You get a bag with only 3 spare O-rings. They are gonna be red, so if you replace the clear ones, you change the looks of the tank. You also get an attention card and the Melo 300 user manual. Again, here is the Eleaf Melo 300. A few specs for you. This one is going to be a 26mm diameter tank, 50.5mm diameter tall, 60.7mm tall to the top of the provided drip tip, which is going to be proprietary, made of Delring, and it is going to be a 14.7mm diameter drip tip, 12.4mm diameter inside, but on the chimney we have an available airflow of 8.9mm diameter. Again, starting from the top, we are going to have a proprietary drip tip, which has double O-rings, and this tank doesn't come with the 510 drip tip adapter. Now, even though it doesn't come with the 510 drip tip adapter, this one is going to be compatible with the last Melo RT and RT25 drip tips. On top, no matter if you have the drip tip attached to the top, you have the top fill port. And to top fill this guy, and by the way, we also have Melo 300 engraved, to top fill this guy, you just have to slide this top fill section or this top fill port to a side. You actually have an orientation arrow. That's simple. Yes, it is that simple. You just have to slide this top fill port or this top fill plate or this top section to a side, and you have your top fill hole covered with a silicone sealing gasket. And then once you fill it, you just have to slide it in back into place. Here we have the glass tank. On the bottom we have the airflow adjustment ring with 2 airflow slots. The airflow adjustment ring stops on each side. What you adjust on one intake, you adjust the same exact on the other. It doesn't click in place, but it stays really well in place. And it also has this kind of a knurling. I won't call it knurling, but it is a protruding pattern that it is going to give you really good grip if you want to get a hold of a coil. Here is the base, 510 connector and positive center pin. It also has a liquid capacity engraved, but we are gonna check that. To get a hold of the coil, you just have to grab the base and unscrew the base from the tank, like so. You can also take the glass tank out of the top part. And by the way, be careful when the O-rings come stuck to the glass. There you go. And also be careful with the glass tank, because once again, you don't get a spare glass tank with this atomizer. So here is the top section. Here is the glass tank. Here is the included coil, which is going to be the same coil they give you as a spare. It has this really cool engraving on one of the sides, and then on the other side we have ES sextuple 0.17 ohm coil rated between 100 and 300 watts. As you can see, exactly the same as the spare coil. To take the coil out of the base, you just have to unscrew the coil from the base, like so. Here is the base, positive center pin, and so on. Here is the inside of this pre-made coil. It is a dual wrap triple coil. So in theory, we get 6 coils. Okay, so dual wrap triple coil. They call it sextuple coil. And then we also have this central post, which is going to be the ground. It is going to be the negative, and the negative leads are making contact with that post. And then all the coils are surrounded with a lot of cotton on this one. And the cotton is really packed. We have fairly big wicking holes all around. We have 3. Each wicking hole is actually in between each coil. Here is the bottom positive center pin or center contact, which appears to be gold plated, and it is going to make contact with all the leads. So Once again, dual wrap triple coils. And here you can see the negative leads. So basically the negative leads of the coil go all the way down across this negative center post, making the negative connection. To use this tank, you just have to pick the coil or to pick a new coil if you are switching your coil and screw the coil into the base. As always, you have to prime your coil with a couple of drops of liquid. Today I'm gonna be using a Dory Liquid Custard de Leche, which is one of my long time favorites, and it is still my favorite. And I'm so glad I got a hold of this liquid once again. I love it. I absolutely love it. It is still on my top #1 favorite liquid, Custard de Leche from a Dory Liquid. And once again, you have to prime your coil with a couple of drops of liquid on that inside filler material. And I gotta say that this coil holds a lot of liquid. And you have to prime your coil from the inside till you see the cotton behind those liquid channels starting to change color. Then you have to have the glass pressed against the top. You have to screw the base with the coil properly primed into the tank or into the chimney, because the chimney is actually what screws into the coil. Then you just have to open this top fill port and fill it from the top with whatever the type of bottle you have. But to check how much it holds, I have currently 5 mils of liquid inside of this syringe. And as you can see, 5 mils are inside and I barely have any bubble. You can see that it is completely filled all the way up to the top, completely. So I don't know if they calculated wrong, if they are going to have smaller coils available which actually allow you to fit more liquid inside. I really don't know, but as it stands, it doesn't hold more than 5 mils. Then of course, once you fill it, you just have to close the top fill port. You can then screw this beast into your mod, adjust the airflow and vape on it. And that was the Eleaf Melo 300. Quite surprising tank. And I'm not saying quite surprising tank because it's a 300 watts tank or is advertised as being capable of handling 300 watts. But surprising because the last Melo RT25 and the Melo RT series wasn't that good. The coils were leaking once in a while. The top fill system was amazing, but I was always getting a lot of liquid when I closed the top fill port. But I'm saying this one is surprisingly good because I have been vaping this one between 150 and 180 watts most of the time, and right now I'm actually vaping at 250 watts. 250 watts is not my style of vaping, but still vaping fine, and so far no problems with those coils at all. The Eleaf Melo 300 coils are wicking wonderfully well and not leaking at all. During the time period I have been using this one and testing this one, I haven't had any leaking or any liquid appearing on the seams, anything. This tank has been completely dry on the outside. I'm gonna give as a pro, the top fill port is so easy and convenient, and once it's closed you actually have to push it a little bit harder to get it open because it sounds like it clicks in place. But really easy to open. By the way, the drip tip is going to be backwards compatible with the Melo 25 RT. Another pro, once again from Eleaf, the construction, the machining, everything on this tank is spot on. Completely seamless tank. Those coils are wicking wonderfully well even at higher wattages, but at 300 watts I find the vape really uncomfortable. Even if you take 1 second or 2 second puffs, it is really uncomfortable. As you can see, 300 watts on the Wismac Rulo RX 300. By the way, review coming soon. Let's vape it. So, even though, and by the way, the noise you are hearing is the vape nut, I also have a review on the vape nut on my channel. But anyway, as you can see, it is going to keep up with the wicking. Even at 300 watts, it's keeping up with the wicking wonderfully well. But more than 1 second puffs on this thing is going to be really uncomfortable, okay? Because the puffs, how I was doing them, by the end of the puff, it was already getting really scratchy on the throat. Really short puffs, yes, sure, it handles 300 watts, sure, it wicks wonderfully well, but once again, it is not my type of vape. But if you vape at those wattages, sure, this tank is going to keep up, is going to handle just fine. It is going to be an amazing tank for you. Now, the sweet spot for me has been between 160 180 watts, once in a while 200 250 watts. I have 162 watts right now. Let's vape it. As you can see, pretty cloudy as well. I find the vape to be more flavorful at lower wattages anyway, okay? Sure, at higher wattages you get more vapor production, you have huge clouds, but you don't have as much flavor as you have at lower wattages with the same exact coil. Now, just as a curiosity, I was able to pick on camera the discoloration of the wick, so you can actually see how the cotton is wrapped around each coil. This tank is going to be compatible with Smog TF-V8 coils, sort of. Yes, it is compatible. Yes, it fires. Yes, it works. It doesn't leak, but you have a fairly big gap between the glass and the base. Well, if you slide the glass tank down, you will have the gap on top, but you have a fairly big gap. Using TF-V8 coils inside, you have a fairly big gap on the tank. Using the Smog TF-V8 rebuildable section, yes, it screws flush. Everything is flush and seamless, but the rebuildable section doesn't close the circuit, doesn't make positive contact with the positive pin. Once again, on Eleaf products, I'm gonna give as a con the fact that it doesn't come with a spare glass tank. Again, I'm gonna give as a con the fact that nowhere on the package or on the coil states the material used to make the coils inside of the pre-built or the pre-made coil. And I would also like to see those coils, those higher wattage coils, in stainless steel, because at higher wattages, if you don't realize you are running out of liquid, the dry heat coming from one of those coils or one of those tanks at really high wattages is going to be pretty nasty. So I want the benefits of stainless steel temperature control on those higher wattage tanks. And I'm also going to give as a con the fact that it is actually engraved and advertised as a 6.5 mils liquid capacity tank, and I'm only able to fit 5 mils inside. They also have a 3.5 milliliter capacity Melo 300 available, but if this one is advertised as 6.5 mils and only holds 5, I'm gonna assume the 3.5 is only going to hold 3. But maybe they advertise with bigger capacity because they have smaller coils coming or about to be released, I don't know. But as it stands, it's going to be a con, the false advertisement. So again, I'm Daniel, Djlsb Vapes. I hope you found this information useful. If you enjoyed this review, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe my channel and my website djlsbvapes.com for the next videos, and I will see you all on the next one.